Hey everybody, welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry. We are still on the Tatarigoroshi chapter. Um, this should be episode 9, I think. Yeah, it's been like about a month since we last played. I've had some other stuff up on my channel. Been kind of a busy summer for me, but I was like, I have some free time today. It's been like a month since I uploaded an episode. So let's just dive right into it. Me and the others, having to set up for the Watanagashi festival or something, invited me along, but I refused. Of course I did. How could they be taking it easy and setting up for a festival in this situation? Mion had a lot of nerve. So the situation he's talking about is with Satoko. Satoko is still being abused at home by her uncle, and Keiichi's like main concern is getting her out of the house and finding a way to keep her safe because like he's acting like her Nini, her big brother. So that's been all that's on his mind for the last like 2 chapters. Anyway, first thing I did when I got back was take a shower. Not because I want to wash off sweat, because I wanted to be even calmer. I already understood this, but killing that man would be so very easy. Talking about the uncle. The really hard thing would be not getting arrested for it, so we can get our peaceful days back. As I thought about it, I realized it wasn't easy. Japan's police force have the highest arrest rate in the world. You need to deceitfully pull off the perfect crime, and it couldn't be a half-hearted attempt. Is that a true fact? Do they have the highest arrest rate in the world? I mean, it could be true. Still wasn't 100%. I mean, the best police force in the world couldn't have a 100% arrest rate. Read a lot of articles on trials with people brought up on false charges. Do a lot to determine whether they were really false accusations, but figuring out who the real criminal was usually out of the question. And that meant perfect crimes did exist. In fact, perfect crimes were sort of like works of art. They can even be respected and revered. You just had to look at the inundation of mystery novels everywhere throughout history. They dealt with all sorts of difficult-to-solve incidents, involving secret rooms and alibis and stuff, but they all wanted to show one thing. They wanted to show the beauty of a perfect crime. There's something divine in the flawlessness of the word perfect. Yes, perfect crimes were skills of the gods. And in that sense, the serial freak deaths they were calling the curse of Oyashiro-sama, I understood. They must have been the works of gods. Each one appeared to have been resolved, but they couldn't stop it from happening every year. Yeah, skills belonging only to gods, those are perfect crimes. And I'd be setting up my own crime before Oyashiro-sama's series of perfect crimes 4 years in the running. If I were to put it boldly, I was challenging a god. Foolhardiness would be needed to make that decision, but I needed to be calm, cool, cold to the ice to put that plan together. Kill him like a flame, but as systematic as ice. Starting now, I need to retain both those ideas within me. Modeling my crime after a mystery novel wasn't actually a bad thing to focus on. Sometimes kidnappings involved disturbing, original methods that made it into the newspaper were used as basis for novels after the person was arrested. Stuff like that made it into the news. Day and night, for a very long time, mystery novel authors polished and refined the most fantastic artistic crimes. Imitating that could be a shortcut to planning the perfect crime in a short period of time. Of course, I haven't read enough mystery novels to act all high and mighty about them. One who really liked mystery novels was my mom. She'd read every well-known mystery novel from overseas, from past and present. Are we going to ask our mom for, like, murder advice? Like, Mom, hypothetically, if I was going to kill someone, how would I get away with it? Every time she watched mystery shows, she would always criticize them as having cheap tricks or being poorly thought out. I wonder what the perfect crime would mean to her. Please don't ask your mom.
これまでの推理小説の中で母さんが一番よくできたと思った完全犯
We
罪
really gonna ask this bitch, okay?
母さんって結構たくさん推理小説を読んでるでしょ。そういうの詳しいかなって思って。
それを読むから楽しいのよ。初めからトリックを教えちゃったら楽しみがなくなっちゃうわ。
Wasn't like I was asking for my own amusement. She was deflecting the question, so I would somehow butter her up first and draw an answer.
そうね。よくできた推理小説。結構どれもこれもいろんな魅力があって、どれが面白かったとは言いにくいけど、強いてあげれば。
Just pick one, Mom. Just pick a story.
母さんの好きな小説のタイトルが知りたいんじゃないよ。母さんが一番舌を巻いた完全トリックが知りたいんだよ。
本当に完全なトリックだったら名探偵に解く余地がないじゃない。
That was true. Then there'd be no point.
推理小説は解ける謎をいかに解くかの過程を楽しむものよ。解けない謎だったらそれは推理小説の題材になり得ないわね。
そっか、そりゃそうだよな。主人公に解けなかったらお話として成立しないもんな。
They're being too simplistic? Mystery novel was basically a game. They were written so you can get to the goal so that you could solve them. But I couldn't use something so optimistic. It needed to be an end-all of tricks so that we could, without a doubt, return to our old lives.
ということはケイチ、真の完全犯罪は物語にすらならないというのがわかるかしら。
Mom looked at me intellectually and grinned impishly. Never gotten to read it, but apparently one time a long time ago, Mom had written her own mystery novel and submitted it for some mystery novel award. Apparently she was really into it. Don't even become stories, what does that mean?
ケイチ、物語の最低構成要素は？
起承転結。
Oh, so she's saying if you can't solve the mystery, then there's no ending, there's no climax.
正解。特に肝心なのは当たり前だけど、木に当たる部分よ。スタートの木がなかったら、そもそも物語は始まらない。
Right.
そりゃそうだよ。何も起こらなかったら何も始まらない。
そう。何も起こらないから事件にもならない。探偵も呼ばれないから推理もない。推理がないなら解決もない。つまり、これが究極の完全犯罪。
ちょっと待って。もう一度説明してくれるかな。
Mom just told me something absurd. And she was saying it so smoothly, too, so I kind of tuned her out. But I honestly tuned her out, too, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what she said. She's something extremely important just now.
そんな難しい話じゃないわよ。そもそも事件が発覚しなければいいだけの話。
Oh. So the perfect crime. The perfect crime is when no one knows there was even a crime at all, kind of thing?
そもそも発覚しない事件。
つまり、例えばよ、誰も立ち入らない深い森の奥で、おじいさんが一人暮らしをしているとする。
うん。
そのおじいさんがある日、斧で殺されました。ちなみに犯人は、じゃあ、おじいさんの息子ね。おじいさんの家に来て一緒にお酒を飲んでいたんだけど、ちょっと喧嘩になって殺してしまった。
An extremely cheap plot. It was an impulsive crime without a bit of planning. Pretty far from a perfect crime.
でもケイチ、そこはとても深い森の中の一軒家なの。普段は絶対に誰も訪れない深い山奥の深い森の中。さて、殺した息子は町に帰ってきてこう言うの。おじいさんは元気だったって。
Okay.
それのどこが完全犯
It's
罪
a
なの？
perfect crime because he's a hermit and like nobody has any contact with him, right?
ケイチ、この事件はね、おじいさんが殺されているのが見つかって初めて木を迎えるのよ。もしもこの後誰もおじいさんの家を訪れなかったら永久に木は訪れない。
The beginning would never occur.
だからつまり物語は始まらない。事件が発覚しないから探偵も呼ばれない。そもそも誰も不審に思わないから謎も起こらない。おじいさんは今日も一人でのんびり森の奥で暮らしているんだろうね。で、お空におじいさんの顔が浮かんで、ジエンド。どう？こんな感じで。
So Keiichi's mom is kind of like a sociopath. I mean, that's really well thought out, actually.
すごいじゃないか。
So that makes sense. If there's like no crime to report and nobody knows that a crime has been committed, then that's the perfect crime.
それちゃんとしたトリックだよ。
でも娯楽小説にはならないわね。推理小説は所詮娯楽書。完全犯罪の指南書にはなり得ないんだから。
Thanks, Mom. I'm gonna go kill someone now. Bye. Trying hard to talk cheerfully to fool her, but inside I was excited. Special tools, strange geography, mysterious drugs, traps involving huge sums of cash. None of them were needed for perfect crimes. The important thing was that there wasn't a beginning. As long as the incident didn't come to light, it would be fine. Speaking broadly, if I can kill him without anyone finding out, and dispose of the corpse somewhere no one could find, it would basically already be a perfect crime. Of course, if someone up and vanished one day all of a sudden, people would get suspicious, but it didn't apply to this man. Last year after their aunt died, he ran away from the village in fear of Oyashiro-sama. When the night of Watanagashi came around again, everyone would have to think that he ran away in fear again. I mean, he had been living with the lover of his in town. No matter what it felt like when he vanished, no one would be suspicious. People hated him, after all. No one would care where he went if he disappeared. When I thought about it like that, it got easier and easier to imagine killing him. There's no point in thinking inside my house anymore. Left, getting my bike out of the garage. For now, it didn't matter where I was going. I just rode through the wind, trying to calm my excitement by feeling the cool air on my body. Where I'd kill him, how I'd do it, what time, and how to dispose of the corpse. If I just had these 4 things, I can get a good plan going. I was so surprised at how little there was to decide that I shivered. I've been completely prepared to build this humongous plan over a really long period of time, but if I could just get these little things in order, I could put it into motion. Today was Saturday. I have to kill him on the night of Watanagashi, so as long as I was standing in for Yoshiro-sama, I only had 24 hours remaining. Satoko, just hang on for 24 more hours. I can't even imagine having to suffer through even more, but please hold out for a little longer. I know you can't even last another second. I know that. But please, just hold out. Your Nini will save you for sure. You a cold bitch, Keiichi. Outside, it was still early enough for the cicadas to be crying. Early afternoon. Evening was still a long way off. Looked at the sky. At some point, it had gotten cloudy. Come to think of it, as I left the house, I heard on the TV that the weather forecast was calling for a chance of rain on Sunday. The sky was the color of lead. If I heard even a little bit of thunder, I definitely have expected a sudden evening shower. My first destination was school. Ooh, the music just got dark. Before explaining why I was going there, I needed to explain what method for killing that man I had decided upon. I decided the most suitable death, the one I needed to give him, same as last year's curse. Same as the punishment their aunt had received, being beaten to death. Wouldn't beating him to death be somewhat unreliable? I think that stabbing him with a blade would be more reliable, but this was something I had chosen after a lot of thought. Just needed to think realistically. The law prohibited carrying any blades longer than 10 centimeters, I think. So the blades available to me, though long enough, were limited to things shorter than a ruler. You can probably understand how tricky it would be with such a short reach to go up against an opponent that might fight back. Well, the same with a baseball bat or some other kind of clubbing incident, right? If you're going to club someone to death with a weapon, like, you'd have to get pretty close to them. I would think. In that case, using a weapon with reach would be far more effective. Probably the baseball bat, that's why he's at school, right? Might not have the same precision, but you just had to hit the guy until you killed him. Both options resulted in death. With that settled, what is the weapon with the most terrifying force behind it that is also easy to carry around? At this point, you should really think of a metal baseball bat, right? That's what I was thinking of. The one that belonged to Satoshi, yeah? I don't need to explain how terrifying a metal baseball bat can be as a weapon. Special note is the fact that you can carry one around in broad daylight and not be thought of as suspicious. Just those 2 points would have been enough to choose a metal bat for my weapon. But there was one more reason for choosing a metal bat in particular. I will speak about it later. After school that Saturday, my classmates were still having fun playing in the schoolyard. I could show up there and it would be the same as always, so nobody will think I'm suspicious. Getting my hands on the weapon without looking suspicious was actually a factor I couldn't ignore. I didn't normally play baseball, so if I went to a sports store looking for a metal bat, it would definitely be suspicious. Can't let there be a beginning to the story, so I really need to be careful about that. I left school. At a location at which my appearance wouldn't be suspicious, I would acquire the weapon. Right, there's one in the classroom locker we've seen before. I checked inside the classroom through the window, but of course there was nobody there. The only students who would stay in there were me and the others when doing club activities. Without us, the classroom after school was just an empty, unused room. Without glancing around nervously, as if I'd just gone to get something I'd forgotten, I casually went in the entrance. Looked like the teacher was busy with paperwork in the teacher's lounge. I didn't see her in the hallway. Naturally, yet quickly as a shadow, I entered the classroom. The empty room was full of a strange, stagnant air that you couldn't feel normally. An empty classroom, with nobody here. Maybe while no one was around, the desks creep about of their own accord, licking the floors clean of dirt. I mean, I can't disprove that. That just seems a little bit strange to think about. If I suddenly stepped into a place like that, would the desks in their surprise fly at me, crush my bones, and eat me alive? That's ridiculous. You're not thinking rationally, Keiichi. I felt regret at wasting valuable time thinking on stupid delusions. Students' lockers were lined up in the back of the classroom. What I was looking for wasn't my own. It was a forbidden locker, one I'd accidentally discovered one day.
あった。北条、間違いない。
One person has one locker, then why would only Satoko have two? I made a fuss about it once. After that, I learned it was Satoshi's locker, and he had the same last name as her. But of course, even though it was a locker for a student no longer here, looking inside it was still a shameless act. But one time, I let my curiosity get the better of me and took a peek inside. Inside, it was average and worthless. At the time, I hadn't been interested, so until now I'd forgotten what had been in it. But now that I had, dare I say it, awakened, I remembered the thing that had been there. I think we discovered the metal baseball bat in the Onigafuchi chapter, in the first chapter of the game, because we were gonna use it to fight off Reina and Mion. So remember, like Keiichi was like taking swings in the courtyard. I think that's when we first saw it. Scrape. I opened the locker and a stench of mold and sweat wafted out, like a gym storehouse that hadn't been cleaned in weeks. My face puckered up at the stench, but I looked for it. Yes. Satoshi was on Coach's baseball team. Inside the locker was a Hanemazawa fighter's uniform, and it. The one Satoshi used, the metal bat. Yes, this is the reason I wanted to choose this bat. This murder would be carried out by me, because it wasn't originally my role, it was Satoshi's. But I would stand in for him and call myself Satoko's Nini. It was one of the rules for standing in for him. I reached for the metal bat and grasped it firmly. It was light, and yet its tip had enough heft in it, enough to easily imagine the horror if I brought it down with all my might. Satoshi, I'll give you one last chance to save your sister. Lend me your strength. You're a coward, but I will stand in for you. So if you still care about her, even a little bit about her, you will lend me your strength. There's no more suitable weapon in the world for putting that man to death than your bat. Now I just need to figure out where to hide it. So two reasons we're using the metal bat. One, because he can carry it around without being suspicious, and two, because it belonged to Satoshi, and this is Satoshi's uncle, I guess. Tomorrow before the act, I would stop by the school and grab it, because I couldn't ignore the possibility someone would see me bringing it home and think it was strange. But if I left it here, there wouldn't be a problem. Plus, tomorrow was Sunday. Not only that, it was the day of the biggest festival in the whole village. Nobody would be coming to school. Left out the entrance and went over to a construction vehicle parked nearby. We'd been warned by our teacher not to touch it just for laughs, so none of the kids would come near the vehicle either. They wouldn't, because if she found out they touched it, they'd be in huge trouble. I quietly hid it in the shadow of the vehicle. Chances of someone operating the vehicle tomorrow were slim to none. Because tomorrow was Sunday. Government workers had the day off. And from what my classmates had said, the thing had been left here for years now. Machines that haven't been moved in years, you can't just suddenly start them up again. So I was almost definitely fine in this case. The sunlight was piercingly hot. My head grew faint for a moment. Had the heat been this harsh for the entire day? A moment of dulled thoughts like this was a moment of carelessness. I gave myself a couple hits in the head, then looked around warily. Okay. Next, how to dispose of the corpse. Interesting. So, on the night of the festival, we're gonna kill Satoko's uncle, beat him to death with the bat. Which, like, we have to remember Keiichi's still a teenager. Like, to beat a full-grown man to death with the bat takes a lot of strength and a lot of effort. I don't know if that's the best idea. But anyway, disposing of the corpse. The ultimate way not to create a beginning was not to let the corpse be found. It was even more important than killing him. Thinking on it vaguely, the first thing that came to mind was the swamp. Onigafuchi, the dreadful bottomless swamp revered even now, that appeared in the legends of Onigafuchi Village. Yes, the swamp called Onigafuchi was here first, and then the village took its name to become Onigafuchi Village. In other words, the swamp was the origin of Onigafuchi Village. No one, no matter who it was, would float back to the surface of this bottomless swamp. Everyone would be swallowed down to the demons below the earth. That was how the stories went. If I was trying to copy Oishiro-sama's curse, then I felt that theory demanded I discard the remains and the weapon into the swamp. But They may have said it was bottomless, but I didn't actually know. People say large creatures like humans produce a lot of gas when they rot, granting a lot of buoyancy. That's a very dark, obscure fact that you just happen to know off the top of your head, Keiichi. If I was going to kill a human, the rot would cause it to create a lot of gas and swelling in its body and it would just float to the surface. I knew that too, but, like, that's a little bit strange for you to know, right off the top of your head. Why using fairly heavy objects to hold people down didn't work. Come to think of it, with the curse the year before last, Rika-chan's mother drowned herself in the swamp. The criminal behind the dismemberment that went missing that year of the first curse, too. It was rumored he tried to discard the body in the swamp and accidentally drowned in it. Never heard of the corpse coming back up or them finding it. Then, shouldn't I choose to discard the corpse there, too? I could discard the weapon there. And then, for example, if her uncle came out on a motorcycle and attacked, it would be convenient to get rid of the bike, too. I knew that Satoko's uncle generally used a motorcycle for transportation. But as for the corpse... After a lot of worrying, I decided not to discard the corpse in the swamp. The drowning, suicide, and accident were both rumors. Nobody knew if they'd actually happened. There were no lack of false rumors about the drowning suicide anyway, and it was possible the murderer hadn't drowned in there and was still on the run. That meant no one ever confirmed a corpse being dropped in there and then not coming back up. Then what would I do with the body? That might be interesting to go with the first incident, cut him to pieces and hide him, but preparation and work for dismembering a human body would be difficult given the amount of time I had. With that out of the question, I arrived at the conclusion to go with a more orthodox method of burying the body. And where would I bury it? It was a question related to where I would kill him. Of course, I wanted to keep my time and proximity to the body at a minimum. With that in mind, I would want to dig the hole to dump the body in beforehand, and to make the location of the act and the hole close together. Choice of where to plan the crime, that I needed to be absolutely careful and thorough with. Had to be somewhere where nobody would witness it, and a place with hiding places for a sneak attack. I could dig a hole for the body right there. I go over the possibilities in my head of the various destinations her uncle would head to from Satoko's house. I imagined a map of the area in my head, and then I found a place that fulfilled those conditions so easily it was almost unbelievable. A bit of back road that went through the woods. I didn't think her uncle would go deeper into the mountains of Yaguichi on a whim. If he was going somewhere, he'd pass through these woods first. Nobody used this back way unless they had something to do at Satoko's house or one or two other places. The path was fantastically ideal, as few people used it. I would wait for him in these woods. Would an ambush actually be possible? I went into the trees and tried really hiding myself in a few places. It was extremely quiet. My senses could be sharpened here to their maximum amount. I didn't know when he'd come, but I'd wait right here for Satoko's uncle. I actually had some trouble coming to that decision. The question arose of whether I should somehow call the man out. Was there a risk I'd be taking by luring him here? That made me and Satoko do all the shopping and errands. He seldom left on his own business. He wouldn't leave unless I worked out a plan to force him to, would he? That was the question. Tomorrow was the Watanagashi festival. Would he go out for the festival, or would he stay inside? If he stayed inside, how would I drag him out of the house? That's right. Wouldn't he make Satoko go to the festival? Satoko would go to the festival. Meanwhile, I would call the man. This is the Okinonomiya police station. You have the young lady from your house. Could you come and pick her up immediately? Didn't even have to be the police. This is the clinic. The young lady from your house has been injured. Please come and pick her up. Yes, that would work too. If I claimed to the police or the hospital, told him to come and then hung up on him, he'd rush there trying to figure out what was going on, wouldn't he? And just the other day, he was visited by a probation officer. He wouldn't suddenly grumble about having to get his niece out and go. It would look like child neglect. Man had no skills useful around the house. Satoko, his slave, was an essential part of his daily life. Conclusion. If he went out to the festival, I would attack him here on his way there or back. If he didn't, I would lure him out by phone. If luring him out by phone was my first step, I needed to be sure Satoko would go to the festival, leaving the house. It would be convenient if I could make Mion take Satoko to the festival. She said her aunt was a district welfare officer. In other words, an ally to the probation officer. If I somehow incited Mion to take Satoko to the festival with her, well, being who she was, she'd use that fact and get her there. Satoko should just take a break and have fun at the festival with everyone. She should have a good time, reminisce on our former peaceful days. And when she went home, everything would be over. Yeah, that'd be the best outcome. But what's our alibi gonna be? Because I'm assuming we're not gonna be at the festival, right? Because we're gonna be trying to kill Satoko's uncle? With that decided, I need to dig a hole somewhere in the woods to hide the body. So it wouldn't stand out, so it wouldn't be found. Someplace nobody would see me while I was completely exposed as I buried the corpse. I wanted it to be close to the scene of the crime, but it naturally grew farther away. Deep in the bosom of the Black Forest, voices of the Higurashi were the only sounds here, informing that people shouldn't discreetly set foot in this place.
穴を掘るか。
Digging a hole with so many tree roots crawling around the ground would be far more difficult than I had envisioned. I snuck a gardening spade out here in my bag, but that wouldn't be enough. Still, as I looked into various approaches, I managed to find a place I could dig into. Tomorrow I'd bring a real shovel from the storeroom at home. I'd manage with that. Wondered how big a hole would have to be to fit a human all the way into it. Probably have to dig pretty deep down. But if I was slipshod in these efforts, I'd let a beginning occur. Absolutely couldn't allow that. Use any amount of time you need to. Mustn't spare any effort to utterly erase him. Glanced at my wristwatch. A little past 6. This is probably all I was going to get done here for today. I really wanted to dig the hole in advance tonight, even if it got dark out, but Mom would be upset if I stayed out too late. Wouldn't be good to come off as suspicious to my parents. Need to go back home and give me on a call soon. Need to get her to promise Satoko to take her by tonight. After that, today would be done. Done. Would it be, though? Was this really everything I could do to prepare right now? I decided where to kill him. I decided how to kill him. I decided, of course, how to dispose of the body. I didn't decide on a time, but I would play that by ear. I didn't have a way to decide that. Was that really all? Was this really all right? Have I overlooked anything? Would this really go how I planned? After all this, worries started rolling up one after the other. It was only natural I'd be anxious. This would be the first and last big job of my lifetime. You're only getting ready to kill a man, Keiichi, in cold blood. I mean, of course you're going to be, like, a little bit anxious. I could not allow failure, and I had no experience, as this was my first time. I didn't have the know-how, the knack, so it was only natural I'd be anxious. The dark clouds at my knees told me doing nothing would be the easiest way, a truly pathetic suggestion this late in the game. Have you forgotten how miserable Satoko looked? From the outside, it may have looked like I was resolute, but deep in my heart, my knees were shaking loudly. Never actually won a single fight to my satisfaction. Could I really kill someone? So that's what's got me worried, is I just feel like I understand the symbolism of the metal bat. It's Satoshi's bat, and he can carry it around and it won't be suspicious. Like, I get that, but, like, I just feel like because he's going to be hiding to ambush him anyway, like, people aren't going to see the bat and think anything of it. Like, you can conceal another weapon. I just feel like this is going to go wrong for him, because Satoko's uncle is a grown-ass man, so unless he gets in, like, a couple cheap shots, I don't know how he's going to take him out. I may have been planning an ambush, but my enemy was large and far older than me. He had a scary face, and he looked like he was well accustomed to fighting. Could I have all the pieces before and after the murder were perfectly planned? But was the actual murder the most important part, what unsettled me the most? All my preparations, all my perfectly concealed machinations. If I didn't successfully murder him, they amounted to nothing. Damn it. After coming this far, you're pathetic, Keiichi, my Bara. If you start to have these kinds of second thoughts, your ulterior motive will be obvious. Let's go home. Go home and calm your mind. Tomorrow will be a juncture in your life, the likes of which graduation, employment, marriage, and childbirth couldn't hold a candle to. A day of murder. To kill someone for someone else's sake. With that day behind us, we would take it back again. Those mild, spring-like days we never thought would stop. Those safe, peaceful, fun times. I pedaled my bicycle hard to get back home. Felt somehow unsteady, like my body and soul weren't in alignment. A subtle shift between where the tips of my hands and feet really were and where I felt them to be. My vision was a little distant and narrow. As if the great barrier I risked my future life on had nothing to do with me. An unreal sensation. How could I put it? Everything was so far away. Fine. Feel your unease permeate you, Keiichi, my Bara. That will turn your timidity into meticulousness and allow you to act with greater caution. Then it's actually an important emotion to feel. This feeling I had never went away that night. So I wonder if he's going to have to come up with an alibi too. We haven't thought of that. We thought of like the murder, but like how are we going to distance ourselves from it? He's putting a lot of eggs in one basket. It was the first time I'd be calling Mion's house. I searched for her in the phone book the school gave me, then dialed a short phone number, kind of unique to remote places. It was around dinner time. She would probably be home. Just as I started to think nobody would respond, somebody finally picked up the receiver.
はい、園垣です。
あ、夜分遅くにすみません。ミオンか。
どちら様です？
俺だよ、ケイチだ。
Keiichi-kun?
ああ、ケイちゃんか。何こんな時間に。
What's up? What's up? She seemed to be in a weirdly good mood, and she drew her syllables out. Right. It's the night before tomorrow's festival, so she's probably with her family having some drinks.
悪いな、こんな時間に。今、時間は大丈夫か？
うん。何？
サトコのことなんだけど。
Heard her draw in a small breath on the other end.
サトコ、大変なことになっちゃったね。大丈夫かな？
The scent of sake had completely disappeared from her voice.
大丈夫なわけないだろう。お前も見ただろ。あれ。あんな、擦り切れるまでにいじめ抜かれて。
Yeah, so in our last episode, Satoko had that mini freak out in the classroom, which was like really bad. It was pretty messed up, very sad. So that's what they're referring to. She's like pretty much broken.
俺たちはあんなになるまでずっと見捨ててきた。
見捨ててたわけじゃないよ。みんな助けようとして必死に考えてたよ。
でも結局何も思いつかなかったし、サトコを救えたわけじゃないだろう。結局あんなになるまで。
そうだね。私は結局見てただけかも。
だからさ、せめて一夜くらい遊ばせてやろうじゃないか。
え？遊ばせるって？
あいつもいろいろと参ってるのわかるだろう。だからさ、明日の渡流しのお祭りにあいつを連れて行ってやってほしいんだ。
それは構わないけど、どうして？
どうしてって、せめて祭りの夜くらい息抜きさせてやりたいじゃないか。たとえ一夜でもあの意地悪なおじの元から離れられるなら、短い時間でもきっとサトコは喜ぶ。
Right. And then Mion's gonna be like, but where will you be, Keiichi? Why can't you take her to the festival?
だから、どうして？
どうしてって何がだよ。
Having a little difficulty understanding what Mion was asking me.
どうして？ケイちゃんが連れて行ってあげないの？私に頼まなきゃならない
Yeah,
の？
we didn't think about that, did we? Mion was persistent about odd things. No, maybe it'd be better to say that she was sharp.
俺、実はちょっと明日は用事があってさ、祭りには行けない。だからサトコ、ミオンが連れて行ってやってほしい。
That's a little bit... I don't know.
用事
I think we should probably be more specific. Yeah, because now she's gonna be inquisitive.
大した用事じゃないんだ。多分すぐに片付くと思うけど、ひょっとすると明日は合流できないかもしれない。なあ、ミオン、明日の夜だけサトコを頼めないか。
Mion took a long time to give her reply. Got the feeling that Mion had been acting weird for a while now. Like she was flustered by emotions or something.
いや、
Huh? Is that a sob? Mion? Are you crying?
私、嫌だって言ったじゃない。私なんかに押し付けられても困るって。
別に押し付けるつもりなんかないよ。明日の夜だけでいいんだ。
嘘だったじゃない。
What? Mion, what was she talking about?
渡流しの夜だけって言って結局ずっとだった嘘つき。でもおあいこかな。
What?
私全然あなたとの約束、あの子はずっとほったらかしだしね。
What are you talking about, Mion? I had no idea what to say to that. Mion was clearly not talking to someone other than me. I didn't know who. All I could do was listen to her in a daze.
あれからずっと帰ってこないのに、
Never came.
あの子のことをもう一度押し付けるためだけに、本当に
I think I got it.
ずるね、あなた
Satoshi. I thought so.
サトシ君、なんで
Okay, so Satoshi disappeared last year, the night of the Watanagashi festival. So he made the same call to her and asked her to look after Satoko or to take care of Satoko, and then he never came back. So she's equating us to Satoshi because we're doing the same shit that he did, which is weird because in the first episode, the Onikakuchi episode, they also said that we were doing a lot of things like Satoshi was. Like, we were swinging the bat, and they were like, why are you acting just like Satoshi? So I feel like in every chapter we've played so far, everyone's been like, you're acting weird, just like Satoshi was when he disappeared. Interesting.
ミオ、さっきから何の話だ？
I said her name. Whatever spell was on Mion was released.
あごめん、なんでもないの。ちょっとケイちゃんの今の電話にそっくりな電話を昔受けたことがあって。
それ、ひょっとしてサトシか？
Mion didn't answer. All I could hear were sobs coming through the receiver.
ごめんね。ちょっと私寝ぼけてるみたい。変なとこで感情的になっちゃった。ごめんね。焦ったでしょ。
I had no idea how it happened, but I was pretty sure that last year on this very day, Satoshi had called Mion and told her to bring Satoko to the festival. And when she asked why he needed her to do it, he replied the same way I just did.
サトシ、祭りに行かなかった。
So we don't have like any flags going on in our head right now that is like, oh wait, Satoshi disappeared. He's doing the same exact shit that I'm doing right now. Like nothing's clicking.
用事があるから自分は行けない
Like this is the same phone conversation we're having with Mion right now.
代わりに私にサトコを祭りに連れて行ってくれ。
Right, and then he never came back home. And his aunt died that same night.
その時、サトシも言ったんだな。サトコを頼むって。
うん、言ったよ。明日の夜だけ頼むってね。ケイちゃんの言い方があまりにもよく似てたんでちょっと思い出して取り乱しちゃった。
Satoko's aunt was beaten to death too. But they caught the guy who did it. Didn't they say that they caught him? He was like some drug addict punk or something that they caught? I didn't expect this. Satoshi had given her the exact same phone call 1 year ago today. Mion kept going after that. That he was lying. That he told her it would only be for the night of the festival.
そうだったな。サトシはその数日後に消えた。
Disappeared might have been a rather vague way to put it. Whether he ran away or not, Satoshi left, abandoning Satoko.
そう。天候でもなく、家出でもなく、
Yeah.
消えたの。
So are we to assume that maybe Satoshi had something to do with the murder of his aunt? And then disappeared? Because we're doing like the exact same thing with her uncle. And then an idea far more indistinct than even fog crossed my mind. Satoshi made exactly the same phone call as me last year. Why would Satoshi make the exact same call? If in the truest sense he really made the exact same phone call as I am right now, then the incident where their aunt was beaten to death, it was Satoshi. Satoshi beat his aunt to death. Right?
サトシだ。
And then maybe somebody else took the fall for it?
え？何が？
Because there's too many coincidences. Last year, Satoko had been constantly abused by her uncle's wife, their aunt too. Her aunt abused her the most. And on that night, in the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse, she was taken from this world. If I thought about that, everything made perfect sense, didn't it?
去年、サトコのおばが殴り殺されたじゃないか。
I got it. It's clicking.
あれ、サトシってことは考えられないか？
No, but that would mean... But then, Satoshi... He was a coward who abandoned Satoko and ran away, wasn't he? How could Satoshi resolve himself to kill a person to save Satoko? It was unthinkable.
私も実はそれを疑ったことがある。サトシには悪いけど、
A few days later, he disappeared. On Satoko's birthday. When I first heard it, I flew into a rage. What a cruel day to have run away on. But, now that I thought about it like this, the story changed completely. Satoshi had probably been even less calm than I was now. He was her big brother, related by blood, watching his little sister be abused day in and day out. Maybe that's why he couldn't keep calm. And that was why the corpse of their aunt, beaten to death, was so easily discovered. Satoshi lost himself in his anger and hadn't hidden the corpse. He permitted a beginning to occur. If police conducted a full-blown investigation, it was easy to imagine they wouldn't take long to pin down Satoshi as the culprit. Satoshi. He wished for a return to peaceful days with Satoko, and though he achieved it for a time, he had been steadily driven into a corner. Then he wanted to at least hold out until Satoko's birthday, but finally, they nailed him. At the time, Satoshi had been carrying the savings he'd amassed to buy Satoko a giant stuffed animal for a birthday present. He would buy the stuffed animal as her gift, and then get caught. Or he could use the money and disappear. That was a choice he had been forced to make. And he decided not to make Satoko the sister of a murderer. But they caught someone for it. I remember distinctly, we heard Detective Oishi say that the aunt was killed by some whacked out drug addict, and that they had him in custody. So I don't think that's the reason Satoshi disappeared. If that was the case, then it must have been an unspeakably bitter decision. All that money he'd saved wanting to see Satoko happy, he had to use it to make her sad. And he used the savings. He disappeared to Tokyo if rumors were true.
サトシはそれで消えたのか。
それはわからない。大石なんかはそう思ってるみたいだけどね。
Oishi. Had he been slowly driven into a corner by that repulsive man's pig-headed pursuit?
確かに状況証拠は揃ってるけど、多分ケイちゃんの推理は外れだと思う。県内のどっかで捕まったろくでなしが
Yeah.
犯行を自供したっていう。
I remember that. I remember we read that. It was right. Deviant had confessed and the incident was solved.
そいつは本当にただの異常者で、ひなみ沢とは何の縁もない男だったって。もちろんサトシとも何の関係もない。だからそんな奴がサトシの身代わりになって嘘をついてくれたなんて、
Okay.
到底思えないし。
So somebody else took the fall for Satoshi. So then, if the police weren't going to nab him for this and he got somebody else to confess, then why did he disappear? He's not in Tokyo. He's somewhere else. Couldn't just arbitrarily decide like that. Never know where or how humans are tied together. If that guy took the blame, then it was the perfect crime. Of course, if it really was a perfect crime, then there would have been no reason for Satoshi to vanish. I'm like 3 steps ahead. I'm extra clear today on what's going on. I'm connecting dots like a mofo.
サトシには逃亡資金なんてなかったと思う。サトシが預金を下ろした日、これは誰に言っても信じてくれないんだけど、サトコのために買うと言ってたぬいぐるみが売れてショーケースからなくなってたの。きっとサトシが買ったに違いない。
ちょっと待てよ。逃走資金に使わないでぬいぐるみを買うために使ったならサトコのところへ帰るはずだろ。ぬいぐるみを買ってそれを届けもせずに挑発するなんて
He's somewhere else.
考えられない。
うん。だからわからなくなっちゃうんだよ。まとまったお金があるならともかく、貯金を全部使っちゃったならサトシは無一文。お金もなく逃亡生活ができるほど世の中は甘くないよ。
I didn't get it. After all that, I was understanding Satoshi less and less. Two of us fell silent. Couldn't remember how we even got on this topic.
ごめん。どこで話が脱線しちゃったん？サトコの件ね。安心していいよ。実はもうちゃんと誘ってあるんだよ。
え？本当かよ。
祭りの準備でみんなで神社に行った時さ、サトコを祭りに呼ぼうって話になったんだよ。それで集会所の電話でそのまま電話して誘ったんだ。おじのやつよそよそしくて勝手にしろみたいな感じだったけど、とりあえず OK はしてくれた。明日みんなで待ち合わせしていくことになってるんだよ。安心した？サトシ。
バカ。俺はサトシじゃないって。
I mean, we're essentially Satoshi. We're doing the same exact stuff that Satoshi was doing. I was a little relieved. Hadn't needed to make the phone call. Satoko had already been invited to the festival. And not in a way that smelled of blood, a way to leave her uncle alone to create time for me to kill him. They purely wanted Satoko to enjoy herself, so they invited her. In the end, it was the same, but I was happy for that slight difference.
すまないな。俺が電話をするまでもなかった。昨日にしろ今日にしろ変な話ばかりしてすまないな。忘れてくれ。
こっちこそ本当に申し訳ない。誰にもなく取り乱しちゃって本当にごめん。
We apologized to each other for a little bit.
じゃあ俺はこれで失礼するな。おやすみ。
何の用事？
As if interrupting our parting words, Mion struck straight where it hurt.
それもまたサトシと同じように言えない？
バカ。だから俺はサトシじゃないって言ってるだろ。
うん。そんなのは分かってるよ。
I deflected her with a response that wasn't really an answer. Mion didn't hound me anymore after that.
じゃあ今度こそおやすみな。
どうしてケイちゃんがサトシ君と全く同じ電話をしてきたのかわからないけれど。なんでもない。ごめんね。おやすみ。
切るぞ。
Click. Satoshi Hojo. Just who are you? Scorned you as a coward who ran away, abandoning his sister. I always thought you didn't have the right to call yourself her Nini. But now I didn't know what to think. Oishiro-sama's curse on the 4th year. Their aunt's death and Satoshi's disappearance. And now, me, trying to carry out Oishiro-sama's curse on the 5th. Oddly enough, what I was going to do overlapped perfectly with Satoshi the day before the curse. No, that wasn't all. If we start back from Satoko being abused, then I've been overlapping with Satoshi for days already. When I talked to Mion before, she asked me if I was Satoshi. That was the first impression a third party like Mion got, and it was probably true. Then as Satoshi had accomplished, I would succeed in the murder. But that was the extent to which we overlapped. I was far calmer than Satoshi, and more calculating. I could actually grow calmer, the more enthusiastic I became. That's why I wouldn't follow in Satoshi's footsteps. I would snip him cleanly out of the world, and then get our peaceful life back. Maybe Satoshi has been with me ever since I chose to use Satoshi's bat as my weapon. No, maybe even longer than that. When I decided I'd be her Nini, maybe Satoshi had been residing within me then, too. Satoshi, were you really a coward? Or are you a true Nini even now? The kind worthy of Satoko's love? I'd never meet him, never spoken to him, didn't know his face, and yet I felt so connected to him. I'd never felt that way before. Interesting. So yeah, so Satoshi definitely had something to do with his aunt's death, but every year there's a murder and there's a disappearance. So the murder was his aunt, and then note on the housewife murder case, cool new note. And then Satoshi was the disappearance. So like we got an achievement, possessed. So if we're putting 2 and 2 together, wouldn't that not also insinuate that like we would be the disappearance this year? If Satoko's uncle is killed, then wouldn't the natural order of things be that Keiichi would disappear? I don't know. Anyway, let's look at the new tip. July 1982. Okonomiya Police Station, 1st Investigative Division. Chief Takasugi. Prefecture Police Headquarters for the Eradication of Drug-Related Crime. Shishibone Branch, Head. Blah, blah, blah. Regarding incident designated as undercover investigation. Message to inform you that a section of the testimony records of an incident under this police headquarters jurisdiction has been found. That is thought to be related to the undercover investigation of the incident in question. Okonomiya Police Station X, Hinamizawa Village, housewife slaughter incident. During investigation of suspect, who was arrested for possession of illegal drugs, there was testimony related to the crime in question, and as part of it, when the criminal had information only he could have known. Therefore, this record of testimony will be provided to you. If this testimonial is to be believed, then there is an extremely high chance that suspect, was the culprit behind the incident in question. In addition, the head investigator on the case received this report and inquired as to the incident with the Okonomiya Police Station. But the responsible party at Okonomiya Station, who responded to the designated undercover investigation announced by the Prefectural Police's General Director on July 1st, 1982, Osamu Fusukane, misunderstood, and did not explain the incident's existence to the head investigator on the case properly. Because of this, the case's head investigator was not aware of the importance of the testimony as related to the case in question, and as a result, was negligent when combing the scene. We apologize for having left it in the dark until now. In addition, there is a postscript saying that suspect died while in confinement yesterday. So wait, so back up. So they had someone in custody, the drugged out punk guy who confessed to the murder of the aunt, but the guy died in custody before it could come to trial? Because that's kind of shady. So I wonder what happened. And then Satoshi disappeared after he was put into custody. So, I don't know. We'll have to play the next one. I think there's only 1 or 2 more episodes left of this chapter. But let's go ahead and save it up. So this has been chapter 9. I promise you, I am going to try to get it back on track to doing like the 1 episode a week at least. I do have some new games coming up on my channel in the upcoming weeks. Man of Medan is out at the end of the month. That's like my big one. I'm going to be playing a lot of that. But then I also have some other titles that I want to do on my channel as well. But I am going to try and do more Higurashi because this one's wrapping up and then we still have a couple more chapters to get through. So I want to try and like continually stick with it because I really like the story. I just have to find the time to get into doing the visual novels. But anyway, this has been Higurashi, the Tatarigoroshi chapter episode 9. If you like this video, feel free to give me a like and subscribe for more like this. And I appreciate y'all watching. I'll catch you for the next one. Peace.